He was still sitting there after everyone else had gone. Elbows resting in his knees. Eyes lowered like he hadn't decided what came next. I said we. He looked up steady and quiet. Then said waiting to see if you'd say anything. So, I did. If you've been here before, you know a quick like or subscribe realitos make a difference. And if this ICR first time, welcome. I'm glad it was this one that found you. Let's begin. The glasses were still half full. One leaned slightly near the edge of the coffee table, its rim faintly smudged. A soft piano track played from the kitchen speaker, half forgotten, and the last lamp had been dimmed to a quiet gold. I gathered a handful of crumpled napkins, brushing my wrist along the cool marble counter as I dropped them into the bin. My heels tapped gently on the tile, quieting as I stepped onto the living room rug. That's when I saw him, still seated, elbows resting on his knees, gaze low. Everyone else had said good night. The front door had clicked shut nearly 10 minutes ago, but he hadn't moved. I paused mid-step, dish towel in hand. What are you still doing here? He looked up slowly. His voice was low, waiting to see if you'd say something. The towel creased between my fingers. I turned toward the sink, rinsed my hands, then dried them one by one. The water left a chill across my skin, but me were already spiraling. He was still there, still, steady, watching. I sat at the edge of the couch, leaving space between us. The lamp's glow reached just far enough to catch the line of his jaw. I folded Thetawell across my lap. Say what? He didn't answer. He shifted slightly, our arms nearly close, but neither of us moved. His hand moved, not far, just enough to graze my sleeve. I couldn't tell if it was intentional. But I didn't pull away. He shifted slightly toward me, then reached out and took my hand. Calm, deliberate. His finger settled around mine, not firm, just enough to feel steady. He stayed like that for a moment. You already know, he said. I didn't answer. My other hand stayed folded around the towel in my lap, but something in me had already leaned his way. I let out a slow breath, steadying me focus. He leaned in just slightly, not touching, only close enough to notice the difference. His voice stayed low. We shouldn't, I whispered. But I didn't let go, and he didn't let go either. The music in the kitchen had stopped. I could hear the hallway you'd seeing, the soft shift of fabric as head adjusted beside me. One of his knees edged toward the couch near mine. His shoulders had turned partway in mid-erection, quiet and still. He rested or joined hands lightly across his leg like it had always been there. I stayed where I was, breathing evenly, unsure what it meant, only that nothing felt hurried. Stood. I didn't say anything. I walked toward the hallway, slow, measured steps, not looking back. But I heard him rise behind me, and I understood the hallway stretched quiet in front of them. Shadows soft along the walls. I didn't stop. Not when I passed the kitchen. Not when I reached the end. I turned the handle to the guest room and stepped inside. The light was low, just glow from the lamp near the bed left in from earlier. I heard the floor creakins behind me, then the door closed. Quietly, no words. I didn't turn around. His footsteps followed, slow, even deliberate. The room didn't change. On lithe soft sound of him drawing near. I kept my eyes on the lamp, listening. When he reached me, he didn't speak. Hep housed beside me, close but without contact, and stayed there. Until he stood calmly, watching, no tasking, not moving, just waiting, and I stepped forward. Our hands met, quiet, without hurry, no tension, just stillness. We didn't speak. The silence lasted longer than I expected. I looked up, wondering if he'd say anything. Hadn't. I took a breath and let it settle. His hand stayed in mine. He stepped forward slightly but left space between us. I sat near the edge of Thebes. Our hands stayed joined and I kept folding on. He remained nearby, quiet, steady, watching. He didn't speak, hadn't move, and when I looked up again, neither of us said a word. He didn't speak. Not when I looked at him, not when I turned toward the bed, not even when I paused halfway there, and my hand rested along the edge of Thephram. He just waited. I didn't know exactly what I was hoping for. A question, maybe some small signal thoughts were aligned. But he didn't offer, only a steady kind of quiet, beckoned, that didn't lead or ask, just held space. I sat down slowly, smoothing the blanket under my fingers. The fabric wascal, familiar in a distant way, like something I'd touched before, but couldn't quite place. He didn't move. I could feel him watching, but not in a way that pressed. His posture stayed, his stance didn't lean forward. There was no shift, No sign, expectation, just presence. And strangely, that steadiness was what drew me closer. The lamp flickered across the far wall, casting long shadows that stretched and bent as the breeze moved. Through the curtain, I watched the light for a moment. The way it changed and returned again. The way it stayed even while shifting. I wasn't sure, I said softly. Until just now, hadn't asked me to explain, he didn't need to. I turned slightly, just enough to meet his eyes, and I saw it there. The stillness wasn't passive, it was purposeful. Holding back, I realized, was his way of showing care. I let the silence stretch, not from doubt, but to make room for what I'd already decided. Then I reached it out, not far, not fast, just enough to close the space between us. He stepped forward, unhurried, careful, as if checking that the moment still held. When he reached me, he didn't reach down. He lowered himself beside me, quiet and calm, settling on the edge of the bed. Shoulder to shoulder in distance, not in contact. I opened my hand. He didn't pause. He placed his hand mine like it had always belonged there. Not a gesture to define anything, just a shared choice. His hand felt warm, not from temperature, but from presence. I didn't grip, and neither did he. Our hands rested, weightless, balanced. My breath slowed. I hadn't noticed how fast it had been until it wasn't anymore. The room stayed quiet around us. The soft ticking of a hallway clock, the sound of leaves stirring just outside, the slight creak of wood as well adjusted in place without thinking. Like we'd both settled into something we'd been circling for a long time. I didn't think this would happen, I said. His tongue moved slightly, not in response, just to acknowledge the moment. He thought it was just a feeling. One I was supposed to ignore. He didn't press. His posture didn't change. But the way he remained beside me, steady and at ease, said more than anything he could have us. I looked down at our hands, then up again. We're not rushing, I said. No, he replied, and that was enough. Minutes passed or more in that kind of silence. Not uncertain, not waiting. Just holding steady like it could stay that way whether words were spoken or not. It shifted slightly, turning to face him more fully. He mirrored it, slow, measured, not asking, not reacting, just here, and in that moment, I knew he wasn't holding back. Not from doubt, not from fear. The answer had already been given, not in anything said, but in the way I stayed. The way I reached, the way I let the silence speak. He looked at me again, not searching, just seeing, and I nodded just once. That was the yes. Be honest. If you were in that room, would you have stayed too? Could ya have sat there, that close, saying nothing? I want to hear it. Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for being here.